Welcome to the Wrestling Universe podcast. My name is Cosk, and I am joined here by two familiar faces, Jordan and Y2 Wrestling. Today we have a very exciting episode, reviewing the show of the year, I would argue. Like, already, nothing's gonna beat this. Like, even if this show was just Ospreay Omega, nothing's gonna beat this.
It's going to be a tough hill. This is a tough hill.
Yeah, Ospreay on Forbidden Door, 2 for 2, match of the night, match of the year candidates.
It was incredible stuff.
You don't
Anyways.
miss, but we're going to get to that.
Yeah, it's a bit of a teaser. We're gonna start off now. We're just gonna skim through the pre-show because we have a lot of matches to get to. Best Friends and El Desperado versus the Mogul Embassy. What did you guys think of it?
Uh, the Mogul Embassy, they have made the best of their time, and they have risen their stock. It is incredible to watch what they've been able to do.
Yeah, I've been enjoying the Mogul Embassy on ROH. In general, I mean, I thought it was all right, pre-show match. I mean, typical pre-show match. The notable moments, I would say, is when the Best Friends did their hug and El Desperado standing in the middle, kind of confused. And but yeah, decent match, and then a momentum building win for the Mogul Embassy.
I've been getting some of my friends into wrestling recently because I'm going to Wembley with them, so I have to get them used to AEW. The one wrestler all of them love, more than anyone else on the card, is Swerve Strickland. Everyone adores him.
He got it.
He has it. He has star quality. I think he can go for the main event scene and fit in perfectly. That Tanahashi match proved that to me.
Just a little side note before we move on. We need Mongol Embassy versus House of Black Sun.
Cook.
Streets will be meeting for days.
Anyways, what did you guys think about Starks versus Athena?
I liked it. I came in the middle half of it because I was cooking, but Starks is showing off. She's showing that she can hang with the big girls, and she's going to be a future star, and I love it. And she's only 19, which is crazy. Athena's just been Athena. At this point, she's the backbone of RH. So, yeah, wonderful match.
In general, I'm just excited to see Athena, back on AEW and to see where it goes because she's been doing great work in ROH, and her finally getting back on TV and AEW in general, I think is great for the women's division.
Athena is a really interesting case to me because she's doing fantastic work in Ring of Honor. I think she should continue to do that. But once she drops that title, I think she's ready to be the top heel of AEW's women's division. Catapult her right to the top. I think she could handle it. Any more thoughts on this match?
I mean, well, just going on your thought there, I would actually say I would see Athena more slotting into the TBS title picture with Chris Statlander because of they're pushing the Outcasts as the main heel group. So I think that'd be a more natural transition for Athena to go after Chris Statlander.
That's completely fair. Do you want to move on to ELP versus Stu Grayson?
Yes. Man, I love ELP. That man. He should have won at Dominion against who'd he face? Finley. He should have came out here the champion, but he came out here and did his thing, and that I love. I was originally going for him to come over here to AEW and join the BC Gold, but not necessarily what we got. But I'm still happy that he's getting the time to shine.
Well, speaking of time to shine, I was excited to see Stu Grayson. He's been doing good work on ROH. So in general, seeing Phantasmo and doing this role, I was 50-50 on who's going to win this match because obviously Stu's been gaining momentum with the Righteous. But yeah, so it was. I thought it was a good match.
I had the same thought with Stu Grayson. I've been a fan of Stu Grayson for a long time. I feel like he's one of the most underrated talents of in the company. I was really disappointed when he left AEW, and I was so happy when they brought him back. I don't think he's a main event or anything. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying push him pay-per-view main events or anything like that, but he's someone who can you can showcase him in like really good singles matches like they did here. I think they should do that more. I think they should showcase him in like good 10-minute TV matches against some top stars where he can lose in fun matches. Why not, you know? Anyways, the last one of these skimming through list, the last match of the pre-show, UE, not Undisputed Era, United Empire versus LIJ. What did you guys think of it?
Man, I really like this match because everybody came in and did their thing. Kyle, he knows he's a star because
Yes.
when they was doing his entrance, you could barely see the rest of UE. He was straight in the front, and I like that. But besides that, Cobb did his powerhouse thing. He was throwing people around. Love to see it. I was surprised when TJP took I think it was TJP who took the pin. Sorry, that was my phone. Because he is one half of the tag team champions down there in Japan. So
You
yeah,
have to expect Jordan's phone to blow up. He's a very important man. Jeff Cobb is one of my favorites in New Japan. I think he's one of the best big men in wrestling in general.
he is amazing, fantastic.
I'm really happy he's starting to get this moment to shine. I've liked him for a long time. I liked him in Lucha Underground. I liked him in Ring of Honor. And to see him reach this like pinnacle of his career, I feel like he can keep going and he can become a major star in the industry.
Yeah, so I don't have much thoughts on this match, but I will say I would never complain seeing Shingo Takagi on my screen. That's all I'll say.
That's fair enough.
Shingo
Anyways,
is so charismatic.
no, I was gonna say anyways, but you reminded me of something. Something I've been thinking about is Shingo Takagi was like a top star in New Japan for a very long time, and it feels like falling off is not the right word, but he's like kind of went down the card. I would have really enjoyed to see Shingo in like a big showcase singles match on the main card, and he just both times in like these multi-man matches. Do you guys think anything about this?
Um, yeah, that one really stumps me because I think like that's prone to happen with a lot of wrestlers. They're big and then they kind of falter off, and then sometimes they get back to that big status. Especially with Shingo, because wasn't he doing a lot during the pandemic era? Like he put
Yep.
New Japan on his back and pretty much ran with it. Shingo is a fantastic wrestler and even more of a fantastic being if you've seen what he, how he acts outside the ring. So I feel like they're still gonna, my fault. I feel like they're still gonna give him that position, but right now he's pretty much just on that cooled off state.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think. I mean, I know he was the world champion, but I don't think Shingo was ever going to be like the top main New Japan guy. Obviously, you have guys, someone like Okada to beat the franchise. So I think Shingo being in that upper mid card to main event status, anyways, where he fits. So I don't think it would be that hard to get him back up there.
On Twitter, I saw someone compare him to Drew McIntyre, and I think that's a perfect comparison. Someone who was like really
That is
big in the pandemic, who's just kind of fallen up to the mid card.
that is shockingly 1-to-1, huh? I didn't think about that.
Anyways, we're done with skimming through. It's time to focus. It's time to put our focus hats on. That's the word I made up. And get into the main card, which started off with the AEW World Championship on the line. Jordan, what did you think of this?
People on Twitter were like, "Oh no, Tanahashi's falling off. Oh no, he's falling off." Ooh, he needed that because he got in that ring and he killed it. Now it wasn't, oh my God, big match status, but it was a decent, enjoyable match. MJF played that cocky heel character that of course, he always does. Funny thing that I noted is that instantly after the match was done, he left. He wasn't there for 3 minutes afterwards and just out the door. But I also had made a comment saying I don't think they're just gonna feed Tanahashi to MJF and feed everybody else to the AEW roster, and then I was proven wrong. So that's just a little side comment. But overall, great match.
What about you, Joe?
So in general, I enjoyed MJF's heel antics. Coming out with a jacket saying New Japan is an indie fed, especially in this
That's
in this audience. Obviously, That is not true if you ever see New Japan. But in general, it's just funny. But yeah, but I enjoyed the match. MJF. Obviously, with his, as I stated before, with his heel antics, and in general, I would agree with Jordan that it was a good match in general.
It was a very good match. I mean, you mentioned like heel antics, and that was the big talking point for me. It was a very classic babyface versus classic heel type match, where MJF was the perfect heel. He was doing all the things a heel does, and Tanahashi was this fired up babyface. He was hulking out brother. He
Oh, I
was
love that part. Yeah,
I loved. Ooh,
and especially when the crowd started to fire up, chant "Go Ace." That's when it really picked up for me.
one of my favorite chants in wrestling.
my favorite part of the match was when what was it? MJF had his hand on the rope. He was like, "What you gonna do?" Then the ref just kicked it.
I love
You know,
that part.
somewhere Red Shoes soul. He was like, oh, man.
Yeah, it was a perfect opener. I think that really set the standard of
Mhm.
the show. Like it wasn't like
It gave
anything blow away, you know? It wasn't like an insane match that you're gonna remember for ages to come, but like it was good classic pro wrestling, and that's not a bad thing at all in my opinion. What were you saying, Jordan?
it, it was a little taste on the spoon of what's to come. That ooh, that's nice type stuff. You feel?
Yeah, yeah.
So I guess one quick question: do you think next year's Forbidden Door will Tanahashi challenge for the AEW World Title again?
I, I I wouldn't mind him doing that, but I feel like in order to keep it from being repetitive, they should probably go a different route.
Well,
Like,
maybe third time's the charm. He wins the title.
ooh,
That'd be shocking, but I
I'm
wouldn't mind it.
I'm putting my hands up. I'm saying next year, have Umino do it.
Hell yeah. Anyways, I think we've
What's
said
next?
all we could say about this match, so we're gonna move on to the next, and this one was interesting before the bell rang. CM Punk versus Kojima. What do you guys think about the reaction Kojima got? No, CM Punk got. Well, Kojima got a good reaction too, but CM Punk, his reaction was insane. What do you think about it, John?
I think his reaction is interesting. I will say personally, it's been fun to watch because it's like there are some people in the crowd that try and get CM Punk chants going, and you can hear them, but then it kind of gets drowned out by boos. And then Punk, I think what makes it work is Punk, has been playing into it, with some of the Hogan stuff and the trolling,
Yeah, something I noticed was CM Punk was playing a total heel in this match. Like the way he was moving around the ring, the way he was looking around at the crowd, the way he was taunting Kojima. Like it was a very heel Punk, and I feel like that's a sign of what's to come. Do you have any thoughts on this match, Jordan?
Now, I am from Chicago, so of course I do have that little. I cheer Punk through and through, but man, I'm saying this right now. Whatever Punk gonna always get a reaction. He's a reaction machine, and it's gonna be big. Whether it be boos or cheers, he's always gonna get a reaction, and that was lovely to see here. And he played into his part perfectly. I'm so glad he didn't try to do that thing where some faces try to do, where even though they're getting booed out the building, they'll just try to still play face. That's good. They'll try to win the crowd back over. He went and flipped it, which I'm glad. Now I know he was still playing partial heel ever since the collision promo, but this solidified it.
Do you guys think that Punk's fully turning heel after this?
I I think he's gonna be more of a tweener. He's gonna be of a more no nonsense type of guy.
Hmm.
yeah, I
He's
agree.
gonna he's gonna face down heels and still get him faces face.
That's a
And
that's a tongue twister.
I'm saying,
I overall the match was very. It wasn't like a very moves heavy match, but it was very story driven.
hmm it was yeah. Ooh, Jesus, it was pretty much two veterans who have honed their craft, basically using their craft, and that's what I really enjoy. I wasn't familiar with Kojima when they first announced it, so I did my own research, and I personally like his work.
Very
Or
nice.
what one notable thing in the match was when was when Punk started doing the Mongolian chops. I immediately started shaking my head at the disrespect towards Tenkozy. I wasn't happy about it.
What a heel. Probably one of my favorite matches on the card. Like the first two matches were a good like standard setter, you know? Like it was
Mm-hmm.
good, fun, typical wrestling. They were working like no very not normal styles, but like very typical pro wrestling styles. And the next match was not that.
Oh wait, hold up. Before we go to the next match, I just want to give my final thoughts, saying just
Go
give
ahead.
respect to Satoshi Kojima, giving respect to Kojima. Well,
Oh
obviously,
yeah.
when he was announced as Punk's opponent, I mean, obviously, the two times he's wrestled a singles match in AEW, he's been a replacement opponent with facing Moxley and now Punk, and he's hit it out of the park both times. Uh, this time with the promo, "I'm gonna kill you, you idiot," and then now on to the match, and he puts out a good performance. I think Satoshi Kojima is definitely underrated.
I salute you, sir. But anyways, the next match was really the first like balls to the wall insanity match. It was
This is
Orange.
when you started picking up the heat.
Yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. It was Orange Cassidy, Daniel Garcia, Zack Sabre Jr., and the man with the best entrance in wrestling, Shibata. What did you think about this, John?
Oh yeah, I thought it was a very fun match. ZSJ went crazy. I love to see it. Anytime with the finger spots, and then seeing Daniel Garcia and Shibata, which may happen on the ROH pay per view. Just a crazy match where OC sneaked in a win.
What about you, John? That's a John again.
Yeah. Jordan John.
What about you, Jordan? You both start with J, so I
So
get confused. I'm really tired. It's like
is,
I'm okay.
isn't it where you at?
I am recording this right after Forbidden Door. I'm European. It's like
Oh,
6 a.m. here. I've gotten no sleep. Anyways,
see,
yeah.
this is what grind is like.
Hell yeah.
This is what determination.
New equipment cost me hundreds. I care about this channel, goddammit.
We
Anyways,
go, gonna see
Jordan.
it through.
Oh yeah.
Anyways,
Jordan.
starting from the bottom, making its way up. Uh, Garcia, I felt like he got his decent time to shine in the match. I think I forgot who he did it to, but he really showed his Shibata colors. You know what I'm trying to say.
Hell yeah.
And I forgot who he smacked, but he smacked the life out of him. And I was like, dang, I didn't expect that coming out of him. Also that one spot where they just kept attacking him, and then he just went straight to dancing. Sports
Oh,
entertainment
that's
finest.
I love
I
that.
gotta, I'm telling y'all, I gotta learn how to do that dance because if I bust that out, ooh, unstoppable.
or even that dance
But
is in the Collision intro. I don't know if you've seen it, but
Jim
I've
Cornette has
seen
a
makes the
it.
intro
stroke
it makes
watching
the
that.
intro even better.
That dance better be in Fight Forever. That's all I'm gonna say.
All the Jim
But
Cornette fans having heart attacks. This is not the wrestling I love. I need more
what
rest holds.
did they do to wrestling? Um, but then we go back. Then we go continuing up. Continuing up, we had that rivalry that was brewing between Zach and Shibata, which was fantastic because you could really feel like they wanted to get to each other, but the others were getting in the way. That's the story I was getting from that. You know, anytime they were trying to get in those technical holds, they were grappling straight to striking. My fault. I slur my words sometimes, and it was interesting to see. And then finally reaching the top, OC, the man with the win. His title reign needs to be documented when it's over because this has been incredible. How long has he had it?
God, I mean, it's gotta be.
Almost a year. He won in October last year, so
Yeah.
Okay.
or
And how
like
many
9 10 months.
matches has he had? How many bad matches has he had?
Orange Cassidy gets a bad rep, but like, he is
He
really good.
he go crazy. I'm saying this right now, and this may be a little controversial, but I don't care. Right now, when it comes to wrestlers in the world right now, he is top 10. He
I
is
can't
top.
argue. I have
Him
said
and
this. Yeah, go on.
him and Iliev, Dragunov in NXT, they have both slowly creeped into that spot where they're like, you're gonna give us respect, and I love it. This man Cassidy, he don't miss. He's been one of my favorite parts of AEW for a while.
He has been my favorite part of AEW. He's the MVP of AEW in 2023 in my opinion. You guys have given your feelings on this match, and like my feeling really is like this wasn't the opener, but it kind of reminded me of like how ECW or TNA would start off with like these crazy X Division cruiserweight matches. Where it wasn't like exactly the opener, but it was like early on in the card to show you, yeah, we have like this traditional wrestling, but here's how crazy we can get. And the best interaction from this match, in my opinion, was Orange Cassidy and Zack Sabre Jr. Because when Orange Cassidy's arm was getting wrenched by Zack Sabre Jr.,
Remember that?
I was uncomfortable. I was like in physical pain for this man. He was. When I was watching, I was thinking, how is this fake? You know, how can you twist an arm like that and like it not like break it in millions of pieces? This story of Orange Cassidy, like his body slowly falling down to where he's gonna end up like wrestling in a full cast, it's been incredible.
It's gonna be torture when he gets to Roosh.
Oh no!
One shot, boom, he on the dead.
Wait, did you see the elbow that Takeshi did to Ishii? We'll talk about it later.
Oh,
We gonna talk about it later. We gonna talk about that.
Yeah.
Actually, hold on.
But I'm mentioning it
But-
now. Yeah.
no, we'll leave it to when we get to it later.
We get there. We got one more match, and I want to talk about this next match coming up. So when y'all ready to move on,
I wanted to mention that like briefly because the Takeshi took like if Takeshi had an elbow like that on Orange Cassidy,
gone.
funeral.
Uh-oh.
That's a title change right there.
Anyways, Jordan, I'll let you take this one next because you said you were excited for it. What are you plotting?
I know y'all saw that disrespect both SANADA and Jungle Boy were getting. Y'all saw that. Battle of Mid. Oh, Jungle Boy don't need to be in this title picture. Why SANADA got the title? Oh my god, we got Okada Light holding the title. They saw those tweets. They saw all your tweets. They saw all your little conversations, and they said, we're gonna get out there and we're gonna show you, we're gonna prove to you. Now, this match wasn't crazy, because on this pay-per-view, we saw crazy. But this match was spicy. And I loved it. These two don't know each other. I don't even think they are familiar with each other's work like that. Whether in kayfabe or the real life, he was saying, I don't know anything about Jungle Boy. I've never seen his work. And then Jungle Boy saying it back. I don't believe that because they had so much good chemistry. It was insane.
It was a great match. Like a genuinely fantastic match. Like not like peak all-time great matches. No, like it's a match you'll probably forget in a month. But like while watching it, you're like, this is exciting. This is great stuff. This is a showcase match for both men, really, because they've both been underrated by the IWC as like, as Jordan said, like mid, but they're very good wrestlers. There is one nitpick I have of this match. The ending? Yeah.
Yeah. It felt a little anticlimactic. He should have won with the DDT.
No, not that. The pin. Like, it's a very small nitpick, but like he pinned him with no pressure at all. He just like went on him like he was nothing.
I don't know, but I feel like that was kind of the story of the match, so that neither were showing respect to each other. So I mean, at least in my opinion, the pin kind of fit. But I get what you're saying.
That's a fair take. Like, yeah, continue.
Oh no, and you say what you were saying. You say what you were saying.
It's a fair take, but the reason I disagree with it is because while that's a great story, and I noticed the story and I was like, this is a great story, but Jungle Boy shouldn't have been beaten like that. Like, if that's how SANADA pins him throughout the match and he kicks out, sure. But if SANADA realizes, I can't beat this guy like this, he's too good, so he has to like swallow his pride and pin him like normally, then like that kind of shows respect to Jungle Boy. The one thing where I will maybe give your theory credit though is if it kind of plays into the heel turn that comes later.
Yeah, that could tie in.
And that's what I was getting ready to pretty much bring up. Maybe that was like the tipping point for Jungle. Maybe after the match, he was like, dang, he really did just put no effort to pinning me. It was like a self-reflect, like, I got to do better. I got to drop the dead weight, which so happened to be Hook all of a sudden.
Um,
With
aren't there
I was
like
surprised.
continue?
You say what you were
Aren't there a lot of people who like ship Hook and Jungle Boy or something? Like I've seen like people with like this the same image of Jungle Boy and Hook,
Oh.
and now they're like devastated.
What side of the internet are you on?
Rest in peace, I will say. I hate shipping, but I feel bad for them.
That one AEW shirt they just made with the Jungle Hook and it was in the rainbow flag colors. That didn't help the case not one bit.
What were you saying before,
But
Jordan?
what was I saying? I really thought the story was going to be different than he turned on him. I thought Hook was going to be like, "Hey, we need to stop being these baby faces. We need to turn heel." And then Hook was going to, corrupt him. I thought
In general, I'm really excited for the Jungle Boy heel turn. His smug attitude that was shown in the promo in the lead up, and just him attacking Hook, like and his father's just sitting there. Taz has to watch this, and then we know that Jungle Boy is probably gonna win the FTW belt, take the belt that his family has lineage that his father held, and just snatch it from him. I think it's gonna be glorious, at least to watch. Not for Hook.
I'll go one step further. I think he should not only take the title, but burn it.
Damn.
Do you have anything to add, Jordan?
That's some real demon stuff. That's something Christian Cage would do.
Yeah.
Ooh, the dots starting to connect back.
They reunite as evil people, I guess. I don't know where I was going with that.
You saw Luchasaurus win that title and he said, okay, you know what? Let me step my game up. But the Hook versus Jungle Boy match, because we know that's coming. I'm excited. To see that because I think that's going to be a Hook's first official like standard match.
Like a genuine good, like great match for Hook, yeah.
Yeah, finally going into like deeper depths, not just a quick match on TV or facing somebody like a Tony Nese or something. No offense to Tony Nese, don't want to pile on him.
Yeah, that's a really good point. This is like his first like proper rivalry because he's had rivalries, but like he's been the clear dominant force in these rivalries. Like when you see him feuding with someone, you're like, okay, this is a feud to get Hook over, but this is a feud to get Jungle Boy over, and they're not gonna really like squash Hook necessarily because they've built so much time building him. Just like these, it's a genuine feud for Hook. It's a genuine feud for Jungle Boy, which I don't think he's had in a. He had the Forbidden Door thing, but that was like a 4-way, so he hasn't really had a proper big like singles feud since Christian Cage.
This is good for both stars.
I agree. I mean, even like the small promo that Jungle Boy had, not like promo, but like the way he was acting after the heel turn, I feel like he's more natural to it. Like the way he was like talking to the crowd and his attitude, his smugness. As John said, his like face heel promo like a week or two ago, I think he's much better as a heel. I think this is going to help him build character a lot, which is the one thing he's really lacked in his run. And overall, good stuff. Do you guys have anything else to add?
I'm glad to see Jungle Boy starting to warm up with his character work. But overall, man, I'm excited to see where this goes.
And I guess my final thought, it's not like about the match, but just in general to the show up to this point, and I guess it ties into the next match too, is I kind of felt like each match I feel like was a little better than the last. I mean, I know you can't, like when you're positioning the card, you never know if like one match is just going to go off before, but at least to this point, I feel like it was rising, to the climax, at least up to the 10-man tag.
Yeah. And speaking of which, Elite, Eddie Kingston, and Ishii versus the Blackpool Combat Club, Shooter and Takeshita. Who wants to go first?
Well, I actually think you should go first to talk about that elbow that Kesha did to Ishii.
My pleasure. This match was incredible. Takeshita was the star of it, in my opinion. I feel like they really built him up strong. Like, as we mentioned, the elbow, which, like, Ishii is a tough guy. He's a tough motherfucker, you know? But, like,
He
he
went
went.
down.
Exactly. Like, he knocked
It,
him out.
the part that was scaring me is the way the Young Bucks were checking on him when he was on the apron. I'm like, hold on, did he actually just? Was that real?
I was watching it with my friend, and my friends thought that he had, like, a concussion or something. He's like, well, yo, did he just, like, shoot on him? I was like, no, I don't think so. Like, that's how real his thing was. Do you want to say anything, John?
Well, Ishii's a stiff guy. To get him down, I mean that. I genuinely like for a second I was worried. I was like, oh shoot, like I thought he might be injured or something. But thankfully that was not the case.
Like, the story of this match, there were a few stories of it. There was the Takeshita story, which was essentially Takeshita was the driving force in the Blackpool Combat Club. Like, nearly every time he was in the ring, unless he was against multiple people, he had the upper hand. I feel like, he took down Ishii. He was, like, taking down people left and right, really. Unless I'm, like, seeing things from, like, sleep deprivation. Like, that's what happened in the match, right? Like, Takeshita was just, like, knocking people out, basically.
Yeah, and then the other, obviously there's multiple stories at play, but one of the most notable ones was the relationship between Eddie Kingston and John Moxley, and how Eddie getting his hands on Claudio, and then obviously the conflicted with Moxley, or even at one point in the match he actually protected Moxley from an attack from the Young Buck, which was detrimental to his team.
I didn't like that part because, like, they were already fighting in the match, and John
Yeah,
Moxley after that moment, it wasn't like it was like a realization of hope. John Moxley after that moment attacked him like it was nothing, you know. So, like, him sacrificing himself, like, they weren't going through a slap contest for what felt like forever. It was a really weird moment, and I had no idea what was going on. Maybe it fits into the story of Eddie cares more about John than John cares about Eddie, because Eddie was really the one making the sacrifices, whereas John just didn't really care. He wasn't cheating, but, like, when Eddie was getting his ass kicked, getting destroyed, John Moxley wasn't like, okay, go make the tag. He was stopping him. He did a cutter after the thing, and, like, he didn't really look conflicted doing it. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're talking about, and I have this little mini theory in my head that's brewing right now, but it's going to be hard for me to explain it, so bear with me. I think Mox is like telling the story of Eddie. I'm disappointed in you, and I'm not gonna hurt you downright. Like, I'm not gonna do anything that's gonna put you in a detrimental state. But if you get beat up, realize I'm trying to get you to join us, and if you're not gonna go this way, that's tough. You feel?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, do you have anything to say, John?
well, you can look back in the promo on TV of like always what, John, which you can insinuate that Eddie always being difficult and not just taking the right path to finally earn that status and that championship. So I think in general, going off what Jordan says, I think that fits the story.
This match, like, it was very good. Like, the action in it was incredible, in my opinion. I think Hangman also showed out, like, quite a lot.
Oh yeah.
Uh, Overall, I'm gonna go to Jordan because I haven't gotten his thoughts on the overall match. What did you think of the overall match, Jordan?
The overall match. Overall, I felt like it was a good match. I was originally skeptical having a 10 man, but they delivered well. If we're about to move on, I have some little notes I have.
Yeah, sure.
This is just more of an etc. But I like there was an interaction between Umino and Takeshka. Just little something I liked. And Umino, of course, about to be this big star in Japan because they're prepping him up. And Yuta always being the guy to take the big bumps, except for Ishii in that one case. And just a little funny thing, I have notes I write down so I can know what to say. And the first notes I have are slug those slugs.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means. Should have written more context, but slug those slugs.
Jordan, a true professional writing notes. Um, do you have any final thoughts on this, or do you want to move on, John?
Um, not much final thoughts. I mean, I thought it was a fun match. I mean, sometimes when you get into 10-man, it kind of gets into the crazy, a little. It can get a little messy towards the end, but overall, I thought it was a fun match in general. And then this match, the result also. Well, I guess I'll do a quick mention of this. Is that it could lead into Blood and Guts. I know they announced it's going to be in Boston in July. So it's going to be the Elite, most likely going to be the Elite Blackpool Combat Club. This time, I mean, potentially maybe Kota Ibushi, but we'll move on.
Before we fully move on, just thought I'd quickly mention this because I don't think we actually mentioned this. Elite and Eddie Kingston and Ishii won. I believe it was Ishii who got the pin, right? With the brain.
Yeah, buster. It was with the brain buster on Yuta.
Yeah, which was it was nice for a New Japan guy to actually get a pin on this show.
Didn't New Japan just take straight L's?
Well, he had Ospreay. Ospreay picked up the dub.
I will talk about this in the main event. There's a teaser. Anyways, let's move on. The only women's match on the main card, Toni Storm versus Willow Nightingale. What do you guys think about this?
For the only women's match, it sure did deliver. It was really fun. And it was nice to see Willow, a person who's gotten over pretty much on their own accord, just like Sky, get out there and show the crowd what they're made of. Both people did their part in the match. But overall, it was really solid. I'm not sure how I really felt about doing champion versus champion, but overall, I give it a pass because it was an eliminator tournament. So maybe if this was for the tournament, right?
No, this is for the AEW Women's World Title.
Oh, well, in that case, I do not give it a pass. It kind of did feel a little weird, but yeah, it was an all right match, and I do think we're gonna get Sky versus Tony somewhere down the line.
John, do you have any thoughts?
So this is not a criticism of the woman because I like Toni Storm and I like Willow Nightingale, but I do feel like they're just the way the AEW pay-per-view structure. There's a certain point in the card where I start to just zone out a little bit because we've just seen so many matches up to this point. Obviously, I got a soda for Ospreay and Omega, so I got my energy back up on track. But around this point in the card, I was starting to zone out a little.
I felt the same way. I got really tired by the end of the Elite Kingston Ishii versus the Blackpool Combat Club Shooter Takeshita match. I'm like, I have mild claustrophobia, so when I'm in a place for a long time, I get a bit anxious, so I have to constantly go on walks, right? So I was like, okay, after this match is over, I gotta go on a walk. I came back and I was like, god damn it, I'm so tired. So then I made the coffee, and by the time I was finished, the match was 3/4 done. I watched it when I think I started watching it after I got my coffee when it was the Outcast getting sent out. So it was near the end, so I didn't see too much. I was surprised by its ending because I was like, oh, the match is just beginning, that's cool, and then it just ended and it was like, oh, okay, I guess I missed it. So
sorry. I thought it was a decent match. I did think the ending was a little weird just because since the referee was distracted, just gouging the eyes. I don't think he needed to distract the referee for the eye gouge. Just my opinion.
I agree. But I don't want to leave this with just an empty review of I'm tired, lol. So
Hmm.
I will observe the wrestlers in the match. I think Willow could be a franchise player for this company. She reminds me of Bailey in NXT. I think I've said that before on this channel.
Yep.
Mhm.
Um, and Tony, I think, is doing some of the best work in her American career, not career in general, because her stuff in Japan was mwah. But
And
her,
then I thought she did pretty well in NXT UK as well.
yeah, like, but when it comes to her American career, I think this is like the peak of it because there's NXT, which she always felt like this is gonna be a bit funny and outcast in NXT, you know, like she never felt like she belonged. She was always out of place, despite the fact that she was one of the most talented performers on the roster in general, like not just the women's roster. I'd argue the entire roster. Toni Storm is incredible, and do we have to talk about her main roster WWE run? I mean, the pies. It was
Ah,
not good.
We'd rather not rehash it.
it didn't happen. It didn't happen.
I'm just hallucinating. Sleep deprivation. Um. So I think Toni Storm's doing incredible work. I think that she's really helped the women's division get back on track. Like I could say the Outcasts in general, but I think Toni Storm. Well, I think all the Outcasts are doing a fairly decent job, but I don't hate Sarai as much as most people do. Toni Storm is carrying them, in my opinion. Like she's the one who's making them feel legitimate because while I really like Ruby Soho, I think she's great. I don't think she can be a top heel. I think she can be like a top babyface, but I don't think she can be a top heel. And Sarai is not over with the crowd to the extent where she can be. So Toni Storm is like the only person who can really go that far. Do you have anything to say about this, Jordan?
I think for a while Ruby was a really over babyface. I think it was with her a feud with Britt where she was really over. So I guess in the future, if somebody does turn, I think it should be Ruby.
Yeah.
But she can go in the ring, so it's not like we're gonna be. It's not like it's gonna be like we're all of a sudden discovering something. She can really put the foot down. What I'm trying to say.
I'm not saying that Ruby's not a good heel. I think she's a fine heel, but I don't think she's a
Mhm.
main event heel. Like she's a main event underdog, rebellious babyface. I think she can do that. But as a heel, she can be like top of the card, but I don't think she's women's champion level, in my opinion at least. Do you agree, Jordan?
I agree wholly. I
What
agree
about you,
wholly.
John?
Um, yeah, pretty much. Though I don't know. I as a heel, I could see her as a TBS champion as a heel, if she went down that route.
I could see
But
that
I
too.
mean, yeah, but your general point is still correct.
So our conclusion for today is that Cosk is always right, and any point I make is like impeccable. Anyways, does
Write it down, kid.
anyone have final thoughts on this match, or do you want to move on? We can
Move
move on.
on.
Yeah, we've pretty much said all we can. I think it was a pretty cool win. Whatchamacallit. Tony got busted open in the nose.
Yeah, I'm laughing now because I just looked at my, my match order. Ooh, this match. Well, no, he deserves his formal name, William Ospreay versus Kenneth Omega. Mwah. Cinema. This was
This is what
my
this is
heart.
what I paid dollars for.
Oh my god.
Ooh.
Jordan. You know what? No. John, I'll give you the honors. I keep saying
This match hooked. From the moment Kenny Omega came out, sorry about that noise. I'm not
they're
sure.
celebrating this match too.
But yeah, from the moment Omega came out, the Devil's Sky, just it was off from there. Just top of the line, match of the year, match of the century, match of the decade, match of the tricentennial. It was beautiful, which was I mean, I have a lot of thoughts, so I could you want me to keep going, or I could punt it to you and hop back in.
You, you can keep going. Cook.
All right. So if we're going Ospreay, dominated in the beginning, and then I guess another thing to bring up was just the knee strikes, which I just thought were absolutely brutal, but in the best way. And and then Omega, just some of these near falls were just crazy. Like I remember on the Stormbreaker, like I thought it was over. Like I turned around, like when it got to two, I was like, it's over. I turned back around. Somehow Omega's got his foot on the rope. I'm in shock, utter shock. And then the one winged angel again. I thought Ospreay just you know hitting Omega's finisher to win, and then Omega powers out at one. And at this point, I'm just it's amazing. I'm speechless, like hands on my head. You know, just in general, just tremendous match.
Jordan, I'll let you cook now.
Okay, before I even start, I remember somebody had posted something on, the good old Twitter, and it was basically saying, "Oh, this match is going to have 76 flips, 94 near falls, call it, and then 14 whatever the last one was." And I was like, "Oh, that's why I want to watch it. It's this going to be a high flying masterpiece." I was wrong. This was not no high flying masterpiece. This was sadistic. This was beef in the ring. You could tell from the second Kenny came out. Look at his facial expressions. He was dead shot. He was like, "I'm finna get in this ring and I'm finna beat. I'm gonna censor myself here. I'm
What's a good
finna
man?
beat this beat this man as badly as I can. I'm pretty much fed up with him. Him and Don Callis. He was fed up with." A little side note before I continue. I remember looking at the security and I had to scan through my database of wrestlers I knew because I'm like, there's no way there's these two random ball guys out here with masks on. They gonna take off and reveal themselves as somebody. And then they didn't, which I thought was odd. But anyways, back to what I was saying. This match was
Well,
dang
wait.
near
Before you continue, because you just mentioned this, when I saw them, the first thing I thought was, "Yo, is that Bane from Batman?" Oh, continue. Cook.
Bane is crazy. Because I have no okay, continuing on. I have notes for most of the matches. This match I couldn't even take notes. I'm just going off of memory. This was more of a fight. This was more of a brawl, and you felt the emotion coming off of both men. And some of the spots were crazy. Like both of their head spots was crazy because of course you had the callback from when Kenny had smashed his head through the table, and then Will did it, but 10 times better in my opinion. Had that boy flat out on the ground cold. And then when Kenny had DDT'd him on the stairs, Will looked like, even though he was up, he looked dead. And there's few matches where I'm just speechless, and this was one of those matches where I was speechless.
Yeah, no,
And
me too. There was just at certain points, like there were a bunch of times I was just gasping, like I couldn't believe what I've just seen.
Do I have
just
permission to cook now?
go ahead.
You guys have described what happened in the match pretty well, so I'm just gonna go on my reactions. Match started, I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. They're doing some good old wrestling. Then Will Ospreay started banging Kenny Omega's head into the announce table, and I was like, okay, Kenny Omega's bleeding. Like, I'm pretty sure that was hard way. That was crazy. Then he like set it up over here, right? Hit him like this, and I was like, Jesus Christ! I thought he was about to get a concussion. Then Will Ospreay got busted open, and the first thing I thought was John Moxley would be proud because this man is bleeding. I was shocked at how much he was bleeding. And I was like, this is a great match. Pretty good match. Like, 4 out of 5, pretty good. Don Callis, he came in with the screwdriver, gave it to Ospreay. Ospreay hit Omega. finish, right? Good, 4 out of 5 match. 1, 2, kick out. What? I was shocked. And then they kept having these near falls. Well, it's like, okay, this is it. Pretty good match. And every time they kicked out, the match got better and better progressively as this like end 10-15 minute stretch was like the greatest 10-15 minute stretch in the history of professional wrestling, maybe? That's a stretch. But it's up there. For modern, I'm not gonna say all wrestling because I'm like more of a 21st century, 90s person. But for 21st century wrestling, it is up there as like top 5, top 10 greatest last 10-15 minute stretches. I was on the edge of my seat. It was 4 a.m. I was trying my best not to scream. I was like, my heart started pounding like crazy. After this match, I had to go on a long walk. I missed half of the next match because I had to walk like 2 laps around my house to like process what I just witnessed. Will Ospreay won, which was the right choice in my opinion. I think you have to set it up. I'm not just saying this because I'm going to Wembley. You have to set it up for Wembley. It's because Will Ospreay's British. What else was like really good about this match? I think the disrespect to Canada was very funny.
Well,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I know those kids' year, the kids in front, I know their year was just made. Not only did they get an interaction, and now on live TV now, Kenny Omega came over, choked Will out with the flag, and then gave it to them.
That poor guy who lost his flag.
That was crazy.
Ospreay basically rubbing his nuts, no better way to say it, with the Canadian flag. For some reason, it reminded me of, I remember hearing a story where Jericho, on a tour, on a WWE live tour in Brazil, he did something with the Brazil flag, disrespecting it, and like he got in huge trouble with the government. So thankfully, there's nothing like that in Canada where Ospreay would be in police questioning right now. But that just reminded me of that.
Didn't he hit the sharpshooter at one point?
Oh yeah.
I'm so surprised. I'm so surprised in the middle of the match he didn't just do the "Oh Canada" spot.
So overall, this match was incredible. Like this, when I was watching this, I just started thinking to myself, I am watching history. You know, like I don't get that with a lot of things, right? I get it with the Bloodline story. Like whenever I'm watching the Bloodline story, I'm like, wow, I'm watching history. This is gonna be remembered for ages. I got it with Okada Omega, and I got it with this. Like I felt like I was watching this historic match that people are going to remember for years to come. And the funniest thing is, I'm not a betting man, but I think the third one's going to be even better.
Of course, the third. Jesus. Of course, the third one's going to be better, man. I don't know what they're going to do to top it, but these are two of some of the best wrestlers in the world. Some would argue number 1 and number 2. So of course, they got something. They're making some sort of concoction. You know what I'm trying to say? They're making some sort of thing in their head. I'm trying to say the word, but it's not gonna work.
Cognitive I don't know. I'm tired, man. I need more
So
coffee.
do you guys think for this third match, do you think best 2 out of 3 falls is the step, or do you think they go something more on the violent side?
I think it's gonna be a mixture of the two.
I wouldn't mind an Iron Man match. 60-minute Iron Man. I think Iron Mans are always great.
Mm-hmm.
Now they won't do it because the first one ended bad, but it wouldn't be the worst choice for the exploding barbed wire death match to return. Though obviously something of this magnitude, you don't want to leave the ending up to explosives though. So that's why they're not going to do it, because
it's a dream.
Obviously the last time with the Omega Moxley, that was such a big ending with and it kind of just fizzled, unfortunately. But if it wasn't for but if it wasn't for the unpredictability of the explosives, I don't think that would be a bad shout for the exploding barbed wire deathmatch to return.
A man can dream. Anyways,
I kind of
yeah.
I kind of like the idea of just doing like 2 out of 3 falls match. because it would kind of link back to when Kenny was going back and forth with Okada.
Hmm.
And it would be like Kenny trying to say to to people around him, basically, hey, I've done this before. Don't worry, this is my element. And I can see how this would be something that would backfire on him, as maybe Will would go those extra miles and actually come up on top at Wembley. Because I don't think Will should be losing in the UK. Actually, yeah, I don't think he should be losing in the UK like this now.
And I think the story indicates that Ospreay should be beating Omega in this series because he's kind of had to, like, the story before this was like Ospreay almost had to prove himself to Omega because Omega was like, you're not good enough to go into my shoes, you know, like I'm Kenny Omega, you're failing New Japan. So if Kenny Omega proves himself right, then I mean Ospreay's not gonna look like a chump because he's had incredible matches with Omega, so people are gonna forget about it. But like for a story-driven nerd like myself, I'm going to be thinking, damn Ospreay, he's kind of right if you can't beat him.
I
What do you
think
think,
if they
John?
do
Yeah.
I think if they do go down route, going down that route is going to be Osprey trying to, push away any outside help because he did accept the help from Don Callis to beat Kenny. But if they do go down that Iron Man route, it's going to be like, nah, I'm doing this on my own this time, full on. This is going to be Billy Goat versus Best Bout. May the best man win.
I've
If
seen.
if it
I was going.
if it was up to me, I would do 2 out of 3 falls. I think different stories you could tell, and just keeping it in the ring with the wrestling. I think there's a lot of different ways. Like even potentially maybe Osprey gets a disqualification at some point, one of the rare, and then but that earns himself a fall after that, and you could tell the dramatic story from there.
Yeah, I could tell that he wanted to cook for a while, so I was like, I'm waiting for what he had to say, and it delivered. Anyways, does anyone have anything else to say on this masterpiece of a match, or should we move on?
Just a little side note. So I was watching the match, doing my thing, and we were getting excited. Cosk, he texts me. He was like, "Man, we picked the right show to review."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, I swear, this masterclass." Texting me, bro, my heart, my dude, my heart.
I thought I was having a heart attack.
He takes pay extra attention to the six man. I'm like, oh snap, I'm tired too.
So,
So I did pay attention, but I was like, man, my mind is still in the next place. But speaking of the six man, next we had it was Sammy, Chris, and Suzuki versus Darby, Sting, and Naito.
uh,
And this was more of a really y'all can settle down before we do Okada versus Danielson because you could tell the crowd was beat, and I don't blame them because of course they were out on their feet for the last one. So this is more of a all right, y'all can calm down, go get y'all little sips of water, get y'all voice back, and it felt more like a rampage match with a little bit of added flavor. You feel? Because of course you have the story that's going on between Chris and Sammy. Naito was out here. It's always glad he's a rare in AEW right now, so it was nice to see him. Suzuki, who doesn't love him? Uh, got any notes? Anything you want to say?
Yeah, I remember in the lead up to Forbidden Door, I was talking to Cosk, and I had my concern whatever match would follow, or Omega Osprey, or if Danielson Okada didn't end up main eventing, obviously it did. Whatever match was going to have to follow was going to have a difficult time. No match, whatever it was that was following that, was going to have a good crowd reaction, at least in the beginning. I remember, when the Young Bucks faced the Lucha Brothers, even though Omega and Jericho was the next match, it was like, the first like 10, 15 minutes, the crowd was mostly out of that. So, I, like everybody else, was a bit, a bit zoned out in the beginning. But, I thought it was a decent little trios match. My favorite part was when the Suzuki guys all did the pose together. I just thought, it was a funny bit. Just even seeing Minoru Suzuki in that situation, it's kind of like a multiverse thing where it's like, how did we get here? You know, this is a this is a moment though,
This
and
don't feel.
You know, I went on my walk, right? Like to calm down, chill, listen to some music, calming music, start daydreaming, you know, get back into the zone for Okada Danielson. I come back, I sit down, I'm like, okay, they're probably having a breeder match. Then I see Sammy Guevara do a flip onto Sting on the table. I'm like, oh, never mind. This is just
and
going
and I
crazy.
and I think Sting was supposed to get off the table before it was
Yeah,
Sammy was
you
gonna
can
hit.
see him trying to move, but he still took it. I
Legend.
hope Sting is okay because he took two bad bumps in this match, and I really hope people don't place it on Sammy because both of them were from Sammy. But it was one where he was going for the top rope cutter onto Sting, but instead of for landing and catching Sting by the neck, he
Oh, I
let
saw
it
that.
right onto the back of his neck.
I love
And some people are noting Sting looked a little wobbly after the match. So hopefully he's okay. You know, he is like what, 56, something like that.
No, no, he's 63.
dude.
He's really old.
He
I
is.
what
No, you
I
would think he's younger, but the face paint really does him, makes him look a
Justice.
lot younger. Meanwhile, Keith Lee looks like a elderly grandpa. No offense to Keith Lee.
dude.
Just took me out.
I saw that spot and I was like, holy mother of God. Sting just broke his neck? What? I was so worried. I was like, I took this relaxing walk to cool off. I come back and I'm like, oh, Sting's dead. That's cool. But like, okay, I think he's okay. I'm praying he's okay because Sting is amazing. He seems like a wonderful person, so you know, he seems okay. He managed to finish the match. He was like at the end, like they weren't like if he like had a serious injury, then they would have like put the X's
We didn't.
up. They would not risk anything with Sting. They're not gonna be like, yeah, continue the match, 63-year-old man. They'd be like, okay, this match is over. Sting, get your ass over here. You know, so I think he's fine. Thank God he's fine. I think they have to play it a bit safe with Sting because he's old. You know, he's had a career-ending injury. Like it's okay to have him do these cool spots. Like it's very fun, but health comes first. Better safe than sorry. You know?
And I think this was more of the freak accident because you can see Sammy and Chris were going back and forth, and that was more of time to get Sting to recuperate. That way he knew to dodge out the way. But you
Ooh,
know, he was a little slow on the thing, but you can't blame him. The guy's 60, which is
three.
crazy. But a couple more notes I have before we move on. Uh, Nato came. He was interesting. He was interesting. Some people were saying he didn't really put in as much like full on effort, which to that I say, why would he? He just had he got a follow up, probably match of the year contender right there. So you know,
Yeah.
but overall, the match felt like a whole bunch of veterans put in their skills to work, and I really did enjoy it. My favorite spot of the match was, and something I know a lot of people didn't catch. Darby was doing this dive on Jericho, and then Jericho hit him with the Judas effect right up the air.
I I don't know if I saw that.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I'm not sure if I saw it, but like it kind of rings a bell. Maybe it was like a clip on Twitter or something. Um. Yeah.
Still for me, the obviously the most notable. I mean, going forward, part of the match was when Jericho and Sting had their face off. Well, I was a little disappointed because I actually thought it was unique. Minoru Suzuki and Sting were having a face off. Who would have ever thought that would have happened here in
That
2023? But uh, in general, so Sting and Jericho, do you guys think they'll have a singles match? Or because personally, me, I would actually prefer if they did a cinematic style because I don't know, I just feel
yeah,
like it'd be unique and different.
that would be nice. That would be nice. Was this the first interaction, like full on like wrestling interaction in
Yes.
AEW
No, in their careers.
in their careers? Oh,
That's why it's so big. It's because they never interacted like in general. They've never had a match and they were never in a segment before like a few weeks ago.
that is insane. That's something you feel like they would have interacted at least once before this, but that's
Yeah.
insane that it's never happened. But hey, at least we got to see it tonight, and it was actually pretty decent. Pretty decent.
And
Now,
and
crap.
and just sorry, sorry, I have another thought on this. It's just with Sting and AEW, I just his whole run has just been he has not played it safe at all. He's been like I thought they would just be doing a bunch of safe cinematic matches, or tag team matches where he takes like just a few bumps. Sting is like, no way. Sting's jumping off balconies. He's doing this crazy stuff. He's going through tables. I don't know if he should be doing it, but I think his run is nearing the end. He's said I think he said that he'll retire this year. So I don't know if he'll retire on the Jericho match or maybe he'll face Darby. But yeah,
Should face Darby in my
It would
opinion.
be a nice move for him. Oh, wait, what were you saying?
I just said I think he should face Darby in my opinion for his retirement match. So pass the bat, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. It would be a nice moment to pass the torch because that's pretty much who he's been given the rub off on for like what his entire stay in AEW. So I feel like that would be, you know, suiting. But overall, decent match. Now it's time for our main event.
it's
If
the
y'all
final
ready.
countdown.
Okada versus Bryan Danielson. I'm gonna start with you, John. What do you think of this match?
Well, the highlight to me was actually just the entrance. Hearing Final Countdown, I mean, it got me so hype just hearing it. Set the mood, and then obviously the beginning. It's going to be a good match, a really good match when it's just the two guys are standing there. They just breathe, and the audience is just going wild. Stuff's about to go down. But yeah, in general, I thought it was a really good match. I thought the ending I thought was weird, but we'll get into that later. So in general, what did you guys think of the match?
Overall, this is pretty much what I expected. Now, some people are saying it was, a little disappointing that they want to see again. Personally, I want to see it again, mostly because I enjoyed the match. But it's what I expected. It was, and I know I've said this before, but I'm saying it because I really mean it this time. These were two people who have spent their entire lives, their entire time honing their craft, trying to get as much of a best wrestler as they can possibly be. You know, fine tuning their move sets to what works for them. And this was them putting it straight to action, and you could see that. Anytime Bryan went for whatchamacallit, I think it was those corner drop kicks, he got met with one of Okada's signature drop kicks. I think it was like one time Okada tried to go for the Rainmaker, and instantly he was encountered into I think it was the label lock. Don't quote me on that. I
You know,
got bad memory.
when I was watching this match, I wasn't like looking at it like, oh, he has a move, he has a move, he has a move. Like I wasn't watching it like a wrestling match. I wasn't really paying attention to the wrestling match, but I was so invested because the entire time my brain was just thinking, it's Okada and Bryan Danielson in the same ring, and I could not get over it. I could not fully pay attention to the match because I was like in shock that Bryan Danielson and Okada were sharing a ring. Like overall, to be completely honest, I think it was a great match. From like when I managed to process the fact that it was happening, it was a great match. Okada and Danielson, I expect more than a great match, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
I expected match of the century. To be honest, I don't know if my expectations were cast too high. I'm a very big Bryan Danielson fan. I'm a very big Okada fan. So this match felt like it was made for me, and it was like it was over here. If it was anybody else and they had this type of match, it'd be like, that's great. But I expect over here from Okada and Bryan
Mm.
Danielson. So I was expecting them to go like it was a great match, but it felt like it missed that final climax. It felt like it
Mm.
never went into that second gear. You get what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I feel what you're saying. I feel what you're saying, which is in essence is why a lot of people are saying we want that second match. We want them to run it back, and I wouldn't mind them running it back personally. Now, the part that really surprised me was Okada tapped out. Okada tapped out, like full blown, like he wasn't knocked out or anything. I gotta wonder what type of gears was Tony pulling with New Japan that they allowed him both Tanahashi and Okada. same pay-per-view to take a loss.
No,
You know what I'm saying?
sorry, I interrupted you, but like I wanted to get into this point earlier. Like I wanted to get into this point for this whole podcast, which is why like I'll restart my statement because like this, I'm just in shock at this. Like Bryan Danielson lost to Daniel Garcia. Bryan Danielson has lost to a lot of people. A loss does not hurt Bryan Danielson. A loss to Bryan Danielson doesn't hurt Okada, but like when so many people from New Japan are losing, then why can't Okada beat Bryan Danielson? You know, if Daniel Garcia, who I love Daniel Garcia, but he's no Okada. If Daniel Garcia can beat Danielson, then surely Okada can beat Danielson. You know, like I don't like it. I don't like the.
Well, if you guys want the reasoning, I mean, to me, it's pretty simple. Money. These Forbidden Door events do draw a lot. They have the big attendance, and plus, I mean, Okada losing in particular could end up with big business in Japan if they do it at a Wrestle Kingdom type show with Okada picking back up that win. So I think in some cases it's just, on the American/Canadian soil. I feel like in a lot of cases it doesn't hurt the New Japan guys as much if they lose. I mean, I know obviously the fans aren't happy about it, but I think that's just, some of that is the reason is just money and because dealing with the United States audience and the Japan audience, but yeah, and then with the finish, I guess a note I had. Well, I don't have a literal note, but I saw it online. I don't have it verified, so it could be wrong, but I think it's right. So this was the first time Okada tapped like clean since 2015 against Nakamura. That's at least what I saw. This statistic. I just thought that was crazy.
That's insane. Jordan, you were going to a point before I interrupted you to talk about how confused I was at Okada losing. Do you want to continue your point?
I forgot what I was saying, but
Happens to the best of us.
I
Overall,
think he is.
yeah, continue.
I think he is right because I hooked up Okada tapping out and ain't nothing popping up with that Shinsuke match.
Wow.
And now all of a sudden, whatchamacallit, Bryan. So that's some prestige on there. I'm wondering what Okada's gonna do when he gets back to Japan, because Okada in Japan, his whole thing right now is even though he's the trios champion, he kind of is, pretty much he's got a lot of beef with the younger guys, which is what his whole story is right now. Between Umino and who else?
Multiple Umanos.
Multiple little mini Uminos.
Yeah.
I guess that's something they can do. Like when he gets back to the States, not the States. When he gets back to Japan, they can rub salt in the room. Like, oh snap! I thought we was in the company. I thought we was in the same company as the best wrestler in the world, but you tapped. You can't be him. So I feel like that's a nice angle they could run now that he's lost.
So overall, I would say disappointing main event. I think that's fair to say. But one that still has potential for, I forgot which one of you said it, but one of you mentioned a Wrestle Kingdom match. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there has to be another match just because for it to end like that. I don't know why New Japan would agree to have Okada tap. It wasn't even like at least to me it didn't even look like the LaBelle lock to me or like one of Danielson's signature. Like he's kind of just like pulling on the arm, and it's kind of.
I think it was a modified octopus hold. Let me see. Yeah.
Tony Khan.
Yeah, like, you didn't even beat it with the signature submission.
Tony Khan has blackmail on the New Japan president confirmed.
I feel like it's more like they got something in the bag. Like they got a favor they're gonna ask of AEW one day, and they gotta comply.
That's fair enough. I mean, okay, we're at the end of the show. Overall, what did you think of the show? I'll start with you, John.
Well, I guess. I don't. I'm sorry going back real quick, but I guess one thing that might have been going against the Danielson and Okada match is that I guess I know that they were fighting for bragging rights as the best in the world and everything, but I guess stakes wise, you could argue that it was a bit lacking that the victor, would kind of just win and not get anything in return. But I mean, I don't think that's a huge deal breaker because we've seen matches that guys have just faced off like Omega and Danielson that they didn't face off for the title. Well, I mean, I guess that's a bit different, but you know what I mean in general.
Yeah.
Ap-
So
Question. Question. After the match, did we get like a zoom in on like Okada's reaction or anything?
I don't remember. I was tired.
Oh, okay. Because maybe if he had like a point where he was looking down, like, dang, I can't believe I tapped out, or maybe like he was walking off in shame. That's an instant. Oh, we can build to him trying to redeem himself later.
Yeah, the only thing really was Kevin Kelly said that he didn't think that that was the end.
Ooh.
They're saying that even though Danielson won, that he didn't think it was the deciding of who was the best wrestler in the world. So I guess leaving the story open.
I guess he won the battle, but not the war.
So that was Forbidden Door. What did you guys think overall of the card? Like, if you were to rate it out of 10, I'll start with you, John.
So out of 10, shoot, I'll go. That's I guess I'll go what you gave the Collision, 9.5. I thought it was a great card. No, I mean, yeah, great card, great show. In general, it's crazy to say because last year's Forbidden Door was one of the best events of the whole year, and Danielson, Omega, CM Punk all weren't on that show. A lot of injuries, and now
Mm.
this year, everybody healthy. I feel like this year blows last year out of the water in certain ways.
Yeah.
Obviously, last year had the mystique of being the first time, but yeah, I thought it was just tremendous show. I give it a 9.5 out of 10.
Are you, Jordan?
I gotta say, I give it the same rating. Yeah, I give it the same rating. I'm really surprised we didn't see like one title change, but there wasn't that many titles up. Wait, yeah, I mean they had three titles up for grab, but I don't feel none of them were gonna really change hands. I felt,
Hmm.
which I felt like would have really boosted it because we would have had that shocking, oh my God, this happened at Forbidden Door moment. But not really. But each of the matches I felt were quality matches. And even though we did miss out on the Adam Cole match, which made me sad because I really did want to see Tom versus Adam, wishing this speedy recovery for Adam. But overall, yes, decent match. Decent matches, some decent stories, and these though whatever matches we had, they were able to lead to other places. I'm really surprised Yoda Sunji didn't really make an appearance. That's my, final regards.
I will correct you there, unless I'm misunderstanding. There was a title change.
Oops.
Will Ospreay.
Oh wait, so I'm tripping. I meant in a, but that works. I'm tired. My fault.
We're all tired. I'm tired. I'm hurt. I'm working with children.
Uh-oh. Yeah,
Actually,
hopefully everything's gone well in the press conference while we're recording.
um, that wasn't for those unaware.
Our
That was a reference to CM
computer
Punk.
running.
That wasn't me shooting. Anyways, I would have to give the show a 9. Like,
Yeah, as we're recording this,
I have no idea what you said, so I'm just gonna continue. I'm gonna give the show a 9 because while it was a really good show, a 9 is a really good rating. I'm gonna have to take one mark off because of how disappointed I was by Okada Danielson. I expected genuine history in the making, and it was just pretty good. And
Well, yeah, especially sorry to cut you off a bit, but especially at the beginning, they're comparing it to Omega and Danielson, which was, I mean, just one of the best matches in AEW history. A magical moment. In front of 20,000. So I mean, just to compare it to that, I mean, you could argue the expectations were too high, but I definitely get what you were saying.
yeah, I mean, when in doubt, hear the battle cry, I guess. Kenny Omega always delivers. So, that was Forbidden Door. I've been Cosk. You can find me at Cosk151. I've been joined by Jordan. Where can they find you, Jordan? I don't think Jordan can hear me. Where can they find you, John?
So you can find me on Twitter.com on Y2 Wrestling. I don't tweet much. I usually just do the retweets for the show sometimes. Maybe I should start tweeting. I don't know, but you can find me there. I have a Shibata profile.
And can you check the Discord chat, John? This is high quality content you can only get at the Wrestling Universe channel. Did you find his Discord? Okay. Most of you follow me on... Yeah. Most of you follow me on Twitter, so I'll just link it there. I've been Cosk. I've already said that. I'm very tired. I'm going to sleep now. Have a good day. Subscribe for more.